Live from fabulous North Hollywood, it's Culinary Dining with Joe Schipacci. Today, creme brulee.
No creme brulee, no, not today. We're doing burgers and steaks without delay. It's Eat at Joe's, Eat at Joe's, Eat at Joe's. It's time to eat at Joe's.
The first thing we're going to do are burgers and a steak. And you may wonder, why do you have to cook the ground meat to such a high temperature? Because when they grind the meat, they can put the bacteria into the meat, inside the meat. The steak, if there's any bacteria, we're going to eliminate it on the surface. And that's the one reason you can cook a steak and eat it rare still, thank God. Okay, we're going to eliminate any kind of contamination on our cutting board. We're going to use good old wax paper. And on that, we're going to form our burgers into a ball. Then we're going to press it down. We're going to season our burgers with an all-purpose seasoning on both sides. And it's especially important after using raw meat, touching raw meat, to completely wash your hands. Now, for my money, the best way to cook a burger or a steak at home is with a cast iron pan. When you buy these, you'll get a little set of instructions, and be sure to read those and take good care of it. It'll last a lifetime. In fact, this was my daddy's cast iron pan that was passed down to me. So here go our burgers.
You can see it's cooking up the side, so now it's time to turn it over and we'll sear the other side.
And we'll turn the heat down a little bit.
The health department wants ground beef to 155, ground poultry to 165.
Here goes our New York steak. We got our pan smoking hot. We want to be sure to sear it to lock in the juices. And you can see we're cooking up the side here. We're going to turn it over.
Cooking time depends on the thickness of the cut. The only way to be sure it's done is by using an InstaRead thermometer.
All right, we have our steak up to about 130, 135. We're going to take it out of the pan. We're going to put it on our plate. Very critical. We're going to cover it, and we're going to let it rest for about 10 minutes. Okay, we've let our steak rest, and this is important. So that is, look at all this nice juice that's collected. I'm going to add that. I'm going to have a little big potato with that. There we go. Let's see how this baby looks inside here. There you go. Perfect medium rare. Right after I have my lunch, then we're all going to get to work.
For our pork chops, we're going to preheat our cast iron skillet and coat it with oil. Going to place in our seasoned pork chops with the all-purpose seasoning. We're going to sear them, just like we did our steak. We're going to turn it over, and we're going to take it out between 150 and 155. We're going to put them on our plate. We're going to cover them and let them rest while we make our vegetables and our sauce. Into the pan goes one onion. We're going to cook that till it turns a little brown, about 5 minutes. Then we're going to add our mushrooms. So we always keep in paper. Buy them in paper, keep them in paper open in the refrigerator. We add our mushrooms. And our mushrooms, we're going to add a little salt and pepper. And some more oil because they're going to soak up the oil. We're going to saute them together with the onions. We're going to add half a cup of white wine to pick up all the pan flavor, and we're going to let that reduce. Add our beautiful pork juices that have collected on the plate. Take it off the heat, and we're going to stir in a tablespoon of butter, one at a time, and then another tablespoon of butter. This is going to pull our sauce together and thicken it. Pour that over our pork chops with our beautiful vegetables, and there you go. Pork chops, mushrooms, and onions.
For our next dish, this can either be meatloaf or meatballs. We have our ground beef, 3 pounds in the bowl. And the trick with meatloaf is everything's got to be very finely diced. So we're going to do our celery here. Get 2 stalks of celery. And we'll get that very, very finely cut up. And in that goes. And then to do our onion, we have half an onion here we're going to use. Leave the root on. We'll make cuts down the bottom. And then down the side, but not cutting all the way to the root. Then we apply firm pressure on the top. And there we go. Now, if you don't want to do that, if you don't want to bother, you can use some nice dehydrated onion, which will rehydrate. So we use half and half in this dish. Next we have salt, paprika, Italian herbs, and garlic powder. We have a cup of, we're using seasoned breadcrumbs. And we have some ketchup. Oops. And a dash of soy sauce. 2 eggs. And a dash of Worcestershire. So now we're going in with the hands. And we'll mix this all together. Twist and turn with your fingers. Now we're going to take about half of this for our meatloaf. And the other half for our meatballs. So we'll start to pre-form it in our hands. And we'll get it in our dish. Half down. There we go. And into the oven it goes.
Take it out at 160 and let rest 10 minutes before carving.
Get your hands a little wet. Take a nice pinch about the size of a golf ball. Roll them. And there you go. Okay, we're going to make our meatballs. Got our pan. We're going to use a canola oil because that's a high heat oil. It's going to take a while to cook. And you can see the oil is already getting hot. They call those little monkeys. You see the heat of the pan. So then here go our meatballs. A little shake. And they're off and running. The way I like to work these is with 2 forks. Get in there. Use one to steady it, and the other one to turn it over.
Meatballs are done at 160. There you go, perfect Italian meatballs.
Now you can see we have quite a nasty pan here, quite a mess to clean up. So we're going to pour off, we turn the heat off, pour off the grease, and we'll just add some water. Give it a little scrape, sorry. And that'll be clean in no time. These are Italian sausages. These come raw, some come fully cooked. If they're raw, we've got to par cook them. So they're going to go into the pan. We're at a moderately high heat. And we're going to add a cup of water. And we're going to bring that up to a boil. They're boiling, we'll cover them up. Finish the sausages with peppers. So we've got red and green peppers, and we want to be sure to save all the trim for our stock pot. And when cutting peppers, it's always good to cut on the meat side rather than the skin side, and they're going to be much easier to cut. And also we're going to have garlic. We've got a whole clove garlic. We're going to give it a smash. I'm going to take the skin right off and chop. So our sausages are steamed. Take them out. We'll remove the water from the pan. Add some olive oil. and back in they go to brown up. We're going to make sure they're fully cooked, so we're going to take these up to about 160 on the meat thermometer, so we're good there. We take them out of the pan, and we have enough oil, really. We don't have to add any more oil. Some Italian herbs, dry, and a little salt and pepper. Saute those in the oil. Okay, our peppers are about cooked. We add our garlic about the last minute. We don't want to overcook the garlic and burn it. We're going to add some red wine. So here we go. There's our peppers. And we have this beautiful sauce. Now for our beef stew, we can either buy stew meat already cut up, or we can buy a nice piece of chuck steak for about half the price. And we'll cut it up ourselves. It's nice, nice, nice. So here we cut this here, and we just trim it up in the nice chunks. So we've trimmed out our meat, and you can see there's very little waste. We've cut out the big pieces of fat. So into the bowl goes our meat. 2 tablespoons of flour, about a tablespoon per pound. So if you want to add to this recipe, you can. Some salt and pepper. And coat the meat. And we'll take it to the stove. We have a 2-pan operation. This is going to be our stew pot. We have some oil in there. Get some celery and onion going in there. And then into our frying pan, in our hot oil, goes our beef. So you see we sweated our celery and our onion. Our beef is nicely browned. So it's going to go into our stew pot. And we have all this beautiful caramelization, and the flour is cooked on there. So we want to pick all that flavor. This is called deglazing. Just like we deglaze the meatball pan with water to clean it, we're going to put this over here. We're going to add a cup of red wine. You know, if you don't want to use wine, just leave it out. Use water. And we're going to get this going, and we're going to, as that alcohol evaporates, we're going to scrape the pan to pick up the flavor. Plus, this will help thicken our stew sauce. So we've cooked down the alcohol. We're going to add a cup of water. And in that goes our stew. Add salt and pepper, oregano, and parsley, 2 bay leaves. Stir it, cover it, and simmer for 1 hour. Our stew's been stewing in its liquid for about an hour. You can see we have a nice tender beef, and we got a nice gravy going there, stew sauce. So we'll add our potatoes and our carrots. We'll turn that up a little bit, get up to a boil, and we'll bring it down to a simmer for about a half an hour. There you go. Beef stew for you. These are pork ribs cut from the pork shoulder, and this can be a pretty tough cut of meat, but we can season it up and tenderize it. We're going to turn this into burritos, so we're using cumin, coriander, paprika, and salt and pepper. And we're going to make our own little rub here, and we're going to season pork. Put that in. We'll turn it over and do the other side. So we got our oil hot, and in go our ribs. We're going to sear these on both sides. We put the rest of our pork ribs in. We got them browned. We're going to put them in our pressure cooker. And again, we have all this beautiful essence left in the pan. And we're going to give it some water in here. A total of 4 cups. We're going to put the rest in the pressure cooker. To the pressure cooker, we're going to add some carrot, a piece of onion, some celery, the rest of our liquid. We'll our pan. Here. You never want to fill a pressure cooker more than 3/4 full. I'm going to put it in our top. And we're going to wait for that to come up to pressure. Pressure cooker is come under pressure. We have pressure here. We have the valve is in place, and the weight is rocking. Our timer's gone off. We'll turn that off. We'll turn our pressure cooker off. But you can see it's still under pressure. The valve is still up. For meats, it's important to let it depressurize on its own. So we're going to let this cool down and come back to that. Pressure cooker has dropped its pressure. There's nothing here. We see our valve has gone down here. And we can open it up safely. Then we're going to take out our pork. And we're going to strain our cooking liquid. One of the great things about the pressure cooker is under the steam it'll pull that fat right out. So we can take that right off the top. Here's our pork that's cooled a bit, and you can see it's still hot, but it's going to shred for us and pull right apart. And this is what we want. It's your picadillo meat. This is what you want for your Mexican cuisine. And we're going to turn this in to burritos. This is our stock from our pork that we cooked in the pressure cooker. We let it sit overnight, and the fat's going to come right to the top. And we'll remove that. And one can we're using, since this is a Mexican dish, we're using stewed tomatoes with Mexican seasoning. Makes sense. We'll bring it up to a boil. And we're going to go in with our potatoes and our carrots. We'll cover that. I'll let that steam for about 20 minutes.
Add more cumin and coriander to the sauce. Taste it to your liking. Then add 2 cups of cooked beans or 2 15-ounce cans of prepared beans rinsed, or shredded pork. Stir it and bring it up to heat. We're using flour tortillas, burrito size, and the directions for wrapping the burrito is right on the back of the package. We put our filling in, fold the ends, the side, we roll it, put the seam down on the plate, put our salsa on, and there we have it. Take the rest of your filling, wrap up your burritos, roll them, freeze them on wax paper, bag them up, and use them for later meals.
Okay, we're going to make enchiladas, and for that we need 3 cups of shredded cheese, and we're using pepper jack cheese. It's a jack cheese that has peppers in it.
We add the shredded pork to the cheese. We're using a dried enchilada sauce. Right on the back it'll tell you how to make the sauce and make the enchiladas. We take our corn tortilla, dip it in the enchilada sauce on both sides. We put the filling in, we roll it, and place it in the pan.
Roll up all the tortillas, put the rest of your sauce on top, top it with the cheese, and pop it into the oven. We're going to make guacamole, and we're going to make salsa, and I'm going to go over these peppers in order of heat. This is a habanero, typically thought of as the hottest. We have serrano, next hottest. We have jalapeno, and we have an Anaheim, which is a very mild chili. It's always important when you're working with chilies is to go slowly, add it a little at a time. You can always make it more hot, but you can't make it less hot. And never ever rub your eyes or nose after you touch the pepper. Key ingredient in salsas and all of Mexican cuisine is cilantro. And a lot of times in our literature this will also be called coriander. And we're using our salad spinner to clean this. It can be kind of sandy and gritty. Just spin it. So we're going to pick the leaves off the bigger stems. We're going to take our cilantro and kind of roll it into a ball here. Kind of encase it. the chop. Then we're going to use diced onion and diced tomato. Here we have our onion, our cilantro, and our tomato, and we're going to go with about a quarter or a third of the serrano, and we're going to include the seeds. That's where the heat really is. And a little salt and pepper and the juice of 1 lime. We'll give that a stir. And we really want to let it sit out at room temperature for about a half hour or so and let everything marry together. And the heat's going to come out more and more as it sits. But we're going to taste it right now and determine if we can go with more pepper here. So I'm going to hand this off to our cameraman, Frank. Oh, broke the chip. I'm going to see what he says.
No, just about right there, Skip.
Right about? Thank you.
Delicious.
We'll check it later before we serve it. We can always make it more hot.
Absolutely.
Now here's our guacamole. We got our onion, tomato, our cilantro. And for this we're going to use about half of the jalapeno with the seeds. I'm going to show you how easy it is. Here's our avocado. We're going to cut around. Give it a little twist here. And go, boom, goes the pit. I'm going to take our fingers around the skin. If you're at home, you can lick your fingers, but here we can't do that. Some salt and pepper. And we got the juice of half a lime. Important to get the lime juice on the avocados as soon as you can, and that's going to keep them from getting oxidized and brown. And then we just kind of break them up with a fork, mush them up, and blend them in with the rest of our ingredients. And then we got our beautiful guacamole.
This is a boneless pork loin roast. We're going to rub it with oil. We're going to season it with the all-purpose seasoning. Now we can cook any roast this way. It could be beef or lamb. Check your all-purpose cookbooks for times and different seasonings that go with that cut of meat. We're going to place it on some carrots, celery, and onion. We have some rosemary on the bottom as well. I'm going to place 2 sprigs of rosemary on the top. We're going to put it into a 350-degree oven. The temperature in the middle of the roast was 155. We pulled it out. We're going to cover it with foil and let it rest 15 minutes. We uncover it, strain the natural pork juices, carve our roast into nice slices. And pour over our au jus. Delicious pork loin roast.
Here's something that's on almost everybody's freezer. You get these down at the warehouse. Even comes with these little recipes, really nice. This is what we're having for dinner tonight. So they're rock frozen. Put them on a plate. We're going to put them in, cover them up, put them in our microwave. We're going to speed defrost these. Okay, our chicken has defrosted, so we're going to make this into a stir fry for dinner. So first we want to do, we don't want to cross-contaminate. So we're going to prep our vegetables first for our stir fry. So we have an onion. We have red and green peppers. And broccoli. We're going to cut off, we just want the flowerets. So we're going to cut off the stem. We're going to pull apart the little flowerets. Now we have our vegetables safely away from the chicken. So we'll cut up the chicken. In little strips. Into our cut up chicken, we're going to add some garlic. We have those peppers you get when you order pizza. Well, always get extra. Just go in there. A shot of soy sauce and some cornstarch. And we'll let that marinate a little bit while we make our rice. The one very important thing to do is to clean all surfaces that your chicken touch and all utensils, but we don't want to use our sponges that we use in the kitchen. So we're going to use paper towel, works really well because we can throw it away. A lot of hot water, hot soapy water, completely and thoroughly sanitize the board and a knife that we used. It's a nice jasmine rice. I have it up to my first knuckle. I'm going to add water. Touch the rice to my second knuckle. And there we go. The rice is boiling. I'm going to turn this down to low. On the top. Set the timer for 20 minutes. You see it's hot. We get our oil in there. And in goes our chicken. When the chicken's done, we're going to take it out. And in go our vegetables. Lid, little bowl here. A little water in there to steam them. And we'll cover that for about 2 minutes. So our vegetables are just cooked through, still a lot of color. We put in our chicken, all that nice sauce that it made. And for our stir-fry sauce, we're using about 1/2 cup of oyster sauce and 1/2 cup of hoisin sauce. You can save a lot of money, especially for sandwiches or very thin sliced meats. Buy this is a piece of ham, buy the whole piece of ham. And instead of going on top of the ham, let your knife rest right here against it and slice very thinly. And you can get some very nice slices for your sandwich or other dishes. This is going to go into fried rice. You turn it over and start the other way. We're going to do our fried rice. Cut some celery, some onion, and our ham that we diced very fine. Always when stir frying, we want to cook our hard vegetables first. And we're going to add our soft mushrooms. And on top of that, we have cold leftover rice. This happens to be jasmine rice, my favorite. Put it on top. And we just work it. Everything is cooked through and incorporated. We're going to add some soy sauce. And we're going to add 2 scrambled eggs. Here we have a leftover piece of beautiful pork loin roast. We're going to slice that very thin for our egg fouillon. So it'll be pork fouillon. We're going to stack our slices up. This is a fresh bamboo shoot. You're going to have to go to an Asian market or your better grocery stores to get this. And we're going to cut this like we would an onion. We're going to come in the bottom and make our slits. Not all the way to the edge. Come down. Keeping even pressure on the top, and I'm going to slice down. This is our gravy for our egg fouillon. This is a chicken stock that's rapidly boiling. To that we're going to add a tablespoon of soy sauce and a tablespoon of mirin. And then we have 2 tablespoons of cornstarch diluted in some cold water that we add to our hot stock. And this is oriental, but this could be any gravy. We'll bring that up to a boil again, and it'll thicken up.
To 3 eggs, we add our bamboo shoots, the pork, diced celery, and onions. We have bean sprouts. We have our wok preheated to 375 with a couple tablespoons of oil. We form little patties, pop them onto the grill. We do them about 2 to 3 minutes or until they're brown. We turn them over and do the 2 to 3 minutes on the other side. Ladle on the gravy and serve it with your fried rice. A beautiful Saturday afternoon lunch. To make a sanitizing solution, add 1 teaspoon of bleach to 1 gallon of cold water. This is important to wash vegetables and fruits that have touched the ground. We'll wash our melon and be sure to remove any kind of bacteria that may go into the fruit when you cut through the skin. If using raw meats, it's especially important to use a separate sanitizing bucket. We're going to cut the melon, going to cut the top off, the bottom, stand it up, shave it down the sides. This works great for pineapple and squash as well. Trim up the end. Cut it in half. Remove the seeds. We'll lay it down and dice it up.
We're going to make pasta sauce, and I want to take a minute to talk about pots. This is a stainless steel pot, and it's a very fine pot for soups and other things. But for slow cooking and long cooking, we need a good heavy pot. So check that out when you go to buy your pots and pans at the restaurant supply or at the department store. We're going to heat up some olive oil, and we're going to saute some onions. And in go our onions. A little salt, and we just want to cook those until they're soft. About 4 or 5 minutes. In goes about 4 cloves of garlic, and we'll give that about 1 more minute. Now in goes our ground meats. We have veal, beef, and pork. And we're going to season that with mixed Italian herbs, pepper, paprika, and crushed red chili peppers. And we'll cook that until it's nice and brown. You can see our meat is all nice and brown. I'm going to add about ½ cup of red wine, 1 large can of crushed tomatoes, I'm going to do tomato paste. Here's a little tip for you. Take the top off and the bottom. Push that right out. I'm going to give this a stir, and in goes our tomato sauce. And we'll bring that up to a boil.
1 economy-sized can has the same amount of sauce as all these other cans. And the quality is even better. You'll be doing yourself a favor as well as helping the earth with less recycling.
You can see it's really cooking. We want to bring it down to a very slow simmer. And we want to cover it open. We want a lot of the moisture to escape so the sauce will reduce. And we want to cook this for several hours, stirring it every about ½ hour or so, making sure it doesn't stick on the bottom.
And now it's time to talk about the danger zone. We need to keep foods out of the zone of 45 degrees and 140 degrees. It's important to get the sauce out of the hot pot. One way to do this is to put it in a shallow container and put it in the refrigerator.
An even quicker way is to keep an ice bottle in the freezer, simply stir it through the sauce, and we'll bring the temperature down to a safe level quickly, and then we can store it. Okay, if you're cooking pasta, we have to have a rapidly boiling pot and a large pot. Things boil, of course, faster with the lid on. So you can see it's really rolling here. And we're going to salt the water. In goes our pasta. And we want to separate it right as we put it in there. And cook it according to the package directions. We're going to strain the pasta. Be very careful. It's very, very, very hot. And then we're going to thoroughly move it around to remove all the water, but never, ever rinse it. We want the starch to stay on the pasta so it will receive the sauce and the sauce will stick to it. You can also, if you're not going to use it right away, we can put a lid on it and keep it warm. We're going to put the sauce on top of the pasta, and then we're going to toss it. Never serve it with a big glop of sauce on top. These are our lasagna noodles, and the great thing about this is you get these nice recipes right on the back. Now, if you don't want to take the time to cook the lasagna noodles, there's these great oven-ready lasagna noodles. Cuts preparation time in half. And of course, those recipes are right on the back as well. Here are lasagna noodles. We have boiling salted water again, and I like to kind of lay these in and crisscross them in different directions. It keeps them from sticking together. You want to get these in here and cook them for about 10 minutes. So our food processor, again, go over to your parents' house or your grandparents' house and root around under the cabinets or in the garage. You'll probably find one of these. For when you got to do a large batch of stuff, they're really great. So we got the grater blade in there. Got our spinach and our salad spinner. We've soaked it. We're going to drain it. A great way to keep this stabilized is just a simple towel on the bottom. For when you spin it, it'll hold it. I'm going to drain this. So, give it a spin. One of our layers for the lasagna is going to be our vegetable filling. So we're going to start with some onion. Our onions are going. We're going to go with our mushrooms. A couple of minutes. 2 cloves of garlic for about 1 minute. Then goes our spinach. And we'll cover that up. Our spinach has wilted. We're going to turn that off and just let that cool a bit. For cheese filling, we got ricotta cheese, we got mozzarella cheese, Parmesan, we got 1 egg, salt, pepper, some oregano, and basil. We'll cream that together with our Uber spatula here. Our noodles have drained, and we're going to lay these out on towels to dry. We've sorted through our noodles, and we're going to save our best ones for the top, and the ones that kind of break apart, we can put in the middle. Nobody's ever going to see those. Okay, we've got a little bit of sauce in the pan. Now we have to determine our pan size. Perfect. So we'll just lay these in there. So we have our noodles overlapped. And we go with a little bit of sauce. Not a whole lot of sauce. And a layer of our cheese mixture. More sauce. Our noodles. Another layer of sauce, not too much. Our noodles. Another layer of sauce, not too much. And in goes our vegetable mixture. Mushrooms and spinach retain a lot of liquid, and we do not want any extra liquid in the lasagna, so we drain that off. Another layer of noodles. And one more layer of cheese. We had a couple of noodles left over, so we're going to seal up this edge here. We're going to put the sauce over the top. It's important that we really cover it up with sauce to keep it moist. We're going to top it with a mixture of Parmesan and mozzarella. And we're going to bake it on a cookie sheet here, uncovered. A lot of recipes tell you to cover it, but if you cover it, it's going to pull all that goodness off there. 350 degrees in a preheated oven for at least a half an hour. We'll check it along the way. We're going to make our manicotti. It's going to look just like that. And the recipe is right on the back of the box. It's so cool. And then look what we found from last Christmas. Obviously, got our holiday ovenware. Found that in the well, that looks good. Got the rosemary there. So we're going to use these for our dish. So just like on the back of the package, we've got mozzarella. Underneath we've got ricotta, we've got Parmesan, salt and pepper. They said parsley. I had to add a little Italian herb. And we got some nutmeg and we got 2 eggs. And we're going to whip that all together. We will kind of fold it so it's kind of light and fluffy. So we have a disposable pastry bag. These are really great. We've got it standing up in a glass. And we're going to load this up. Okay, we've got this full enough that we can twist the end here. They tell you to do this with a spoon, but that's impossible. And we have our manicotti that we cooked. We're going to insert our tube into the manicotti and squeeze. And they're going to go into our nice little Christmas bowl. We couldn't fit all our manicotti into our Christmas container, so we had a little bonus container here. So we got all our manicotti filled. We're going to top it with some nice sauce. And it gets a topping of mozzarella and Parmesan. And by the way, these containers that the ricotta and the other things come in, they're great for storing your extra sauce. These containers come with a very nice lid, so we'll stick that on there. We're going to pop this in the freezer for meals down the road. America's favorite comfort food, macaroni and cheese. Now we cooked our macaroni ahead, and when you cook pasta ahead, you want to coat it with a little olive oil just to keep it separated. Okay, now we got to make the creamy sauce. So we have 4 tablespoons of butter that we're going to melt. This is your basic roux. This is your basic sauce. We can make this the basic white sauce. And we can turn this into 100 different sauces. Melt the butter. And we also, back here, we have our milk heating. Want this to come, and we want it to be kind of frothy. Our butter is hot, in goes our flour. Equal parts of flour to whatever fat you're going to use, be it oil or lard or whatever. This is your basic roux. And you want to make sure you get all the flour cooked. Now it's looking good. Now we're going to slowly add in our hot milk. Bring that up to heat. We're going to add in a little salt and pepper. You can see it's getting thick already. And into this goes our 2 cups of cheddar cheese. Melt that in there. Now we can put that on broccoli. You can put that on eggs, whatever we want to put it on. In goes our pasta. A bit at a time. Okay, so it's all stirred together. And it's going to go into our baking dish. Top it with our cheddar cheese. And we put it in the oven, 400 degrees for about 20 minutes.
This is a frying chicken that we're going to roast. Just clean it all up. And it's very important to season the inside of the bird with some all-purpose seasoning. Now, you can do turkey the very same way. Got some carrot, onion, celery, fresh rosemary, and whatever herbs you like, you can accent it with your favorite herbs. Season the outside of the bird. We're going to place it on a bed of celery, onion, and carrot. We're going to use an oven probe thermometer. We're going to set it in the thigh for 180. Put it in there. These are great for turkeys because you're not opening the door all the time to check the temperature. Close it up, and it's going to beep when it's done. All poultry goes by the same temperature, 180 in the thigh, 170 in the breast. This is a whole fryer. Be sure to read the safe handling instructions. If the chicken growers were smart, they'd tell you how to cut it up on the bag, but they don't. Be sure to rinse it out, get all the parts out of there. Now we're going to come up on the breast, make a cut for the wing. There's the wing joint right there. Just cut through the wing. There you go. And we cut the tip off because that can burn. Save that for your soup stock. Now we're going to take off the leg corner, make a slit down the side, and pop up that hip joint right there. Cut through. There's your thigh and your leg. Now at this point, if you want to skin it, it's a good point to take it off, pull it, and you're taking the skin right off the chicken. We'll lay it down, and there's a fat line right between the thigh and the leg. We cut it right there, our leg and our thigh. Now we're going to take off the breast. Again, there's the fat line. Just follow that down. That separates the back and the breast. Down the other side. Now we have our whole breast. We make a slit right in the middle at the breastbone. We pull it on each side, separate it, and we'll separate the breast in half. Now we're ready to start frying. But first, we're going to sanitize our cutting board and our knife with our bleach sanitizing solution. Make sure that's thoroughly cleaned off. And we're going to wash our hands with plenty of hot, soapy water.
Here's our seasoned flour. Here's our chicken. We're going to get in there, coat it, shake it off.
Our oil is hot. We place in our chicken pieces. We brown that first side about 5 minutes. We turned it over, brown the other side. We cover it for 10 minutes. We turn it over. Cover it again for another 10 minutes. 10 minutes is gone. We turn it over one more time and let it finish open for 10 minutes.
2 tablespoons of butter. Get that to melt. 2 tablespoons of flour. Look that through. And we're going to stir in 2 cups of chicken stock. Bring it to a boil and let it thicken. And there's our gravy. Great thing about this recipe is you have to drink half the beer. This one's for you. Okay, and we have our seasonings going there.
Put in the can 1 teaspoon each salt and pepper, 2 tablespoons crab oil, either dry or liquid, and 1 teaspoon Creole seasoning. Teaspoon of Tabasco and a teaspoon of Worcestershire. Set the chicken on the beer can and take it out and put it on a hot grill. Cook for about 1 hour or until 180 in the thigh. There he is. Happy chicken.
This is a nice coho salmon fillet, and I can see that our fishmonger did not take out these bones here, so we have our pliers that we keep in the kitchen just for this purpose. We're just going to pull these out. So we've got all of our bones out. We've squared up this edge. We're going to cut it in half on a bias, and we're going to broil a piece, and we're going to pan fry a piece. We're going to use a combination of oil and butter for flavor. A little salt and pepper. And we're going to go flesh side down here in the oil and the butter. And the broiled one, we're going to give it a little oil and butter, salt and pepper, and that one's going to go into the broiler. About 4 inches from the heat.
We're going to turn our salmon over. We did about 5 minutes on that side and about 5 minutes on the other side. We want to cook salmon to 140 degrees, and it's done. We've taken our broiled piece out. We're going to turn it over. We're going to remove the skin. We're going to season it with we're using avocado oil with basil, actually, and it's very flavorful. Salt and pepper. Put it back in under the broiler for about 4 more minutes to finish.
We're going to use our trusty food processor. A lot of times you buy these appliances, you get a nice little cookbook with it, and it has a lot of tips, and check it out. So in here we're going to make whipped fish. We have a package of cream cheese. We're going to add some lemon juice, and we have a red pepper. There's some green onion and some garlic, salt, Old Bay seasoning, paprika, oregano, and parsley. And we're going to give it a little pulse. Just want to incorporate the cream cheese with the vegetables and the spices. About like that. And then we have our salmon that we broiled. We made sure we don't have any bones in it, and we want to be sure we get this little aspect that it creates. There's a lot of flavor there. And you give it another pulse. You want to overmix it. And there you have it, whipped fish.
This is a line-caught king salmon.
You want to look for a very clear eye. Tells you it's fresh. But the only way to really tell is to smell it. So I'm going to have you smell it.
It should smell fresh, but not fishy.
So we want to wash it up. You can see it's been gutted, and it's looking really nice. Also, you can see that it's not scaling, so that tells us this was flaking off here. That would be a sign that it's not fresh. This is absolutely fresh fish. We want to dry it off, so we're going to use our grocery bag here. We're going to pat it dry with our paper towel here.
Spray all over with oil.
We have some fresh oregano. We have some fresh thyme. Some sweet onion. So this is a Hermanson sweet onion, or Walla Walla, or the Dahlia would work real well. We're also going to give it some lemon zest. This is a zester.
This releases the oil from the lemon and gives us a lot of flavor.
Maybe some salt and pepper in here. In goes our lemon zest. So we're going to wrap them in foil very tightly. We've got 2 sheets on the bottom. I'm going to put a sheet on the top. And crimp the ends.
Preheat the oven to 400 degrees. Pop in the fish 40 to 50 minutes or until it flakes easily with a fork.
We're going to make steamed shrimp, and for that we're going to make some cocktail sauce. We have a cup of ketchup, we have a tablespoon of horseradish, a tablespoon of lemon juice, some salt and pepper to taste. We'll mix that up. Okay, we're going to make our shrimp. It's a very famous blended seafood all-purpose seasoning, and the recipe's right here on the can. We're going to turn our frying pan on high. We have half a cup of vinegar, half a cup of water. We have a tablespoon of our blended seafood seasoning and a teaspoon of salt. We're going to put that in, and we're going to bring that up to a boil. Okay, we're boiling. Add our shrimp. Covered up. About 5 minutes. We'll check them. When they turn pink, they're done. There we go. They've all turned pink. This really only took about 3 minutes. They're done. Well, we ate our shrimp. They were delicious. We saved our shells. So we got a pound's worth of shrimp shells here. And we're going to make a fish stock. We have a tablespoon of oil, half a cup of onion, celery, and carrot. Get that going in here. Okay, we've cooked our vegetables about 3-4 minutes. We're going to add our shells. A little salt and pepper. I'm going to add 1 cup of white wine. Let the alcohol evaporate a little bit. And to that, we're going to add 3 cups of cold water. We're going to bring this to a boil, and we're going to let that simmer for 30 minutes.
No creme brulee, no, not today. We're doing burgers and steaks without delay. It's Eat at Joe's, Eat at Joe's, Eat at Joe's. It's time to eat at Joe's.
So we should start starting up the thing and. What's this, like creme brulee?
Mm-hmm. And that's my longest.
No creme brulee is what I say. Need ribs and chickens and etouffee.
How's my hair? Should I come in here?
Your hair looks fine.
Are you sure?
Yeah, are you gonna be over
No, I
here?
gotta come in.
Blow everything up.
You're gonna blow everything up, everything today.
Today? Smells like gas, man. You turned off that gas?
So here's the deal. We'll have the Kenny G music.
Mm-hmm.
Me lighting the torch. And then I'll say, well, VO it. And I'll say, today I'm in the kitchen with
Yeah.
Joe Schipacci is creme brulee. And then we hit our theme song.
Okay.
Okay, ready? Here we go.
So you're gonna be all right. I'll be on the.
Just get this here.
Okay.
Did you get it? Okay. Get a good shot of me up here.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. So.
Scares the out of me.